My name's Tirza Boutte. You that don't know me, and I own Boutte Tree down in Atlanta. And there's been an effort underway for a decade or two, depending on when you start counting, to have licensing in the tree business in Georgia. It's a statewide thing, and there's licensing for many different occupations in Georgia. And there's some people that feel that it's time for us in our industry to reach that. And the industry's done a lot for people over the last few decades. And people in this room are aware of that. As a matter of fact, people in this room have been driving that in large part. So let me just go over some of those things that we've done as an industry that we can be proud of. I feel it's important the industry helps the other members within it, and there's not so much of that sort of snarling that sometimes occurs in a competitive environment. And that has made us so much stronger, and it's something that I think we should all be really proud of, right? When we help one another do those things for one another, it means so much, and we need to be proud of that. We need to be proud of. I was in another country recently talking to a tree guy, and he was telling me about his contracts that he got and the way he got them. And I was thinking to myself, thank God I don't live here. Because one of the things that we need to be really proud of is the way that our public partners help us do so much for the benefit of our forests in this country and this state. And I think who these people are, these are the people that decide which trees we cut, and they administer our contracts, and they do so much for all of us in the industry and really outside of it. What's the purpose of an industry if it doesn't serve the people outside of it? I think we've got a lot to be proud of as far as what this industry's done. And so let me tell you a little bit about where we think it can go in the future. And there's a guy here named Dave Morris who's going to have a little bit to say about that. But I think that the knowledge and passion for trees that we have means that the way that we do work near the highways, near the power lines is going to change. I think we're going to become more interested in fighting invasive species and using our knowledge to save trees than we have in the past. And we're going to see changes in this state because of the knowledge and passion we have for trees. I think we're going in that direction. And I think there's a lot of smart and dedicated people that are ready to see us go in that direction. And I think that knowledge and that passion for doing things right is a result of our dedication to learning and doing things right. And at the end of the day, the whole licensing question is about this. It's about being a part of the community and about being recognized and about being vigilant about how we do things and what we're going to be doing. The licensing effort is going well. The legislative session opens on Monday. And we have a lobbyist. His name is Terry Rogers. He's a dedicated guy, and we pay him a check every month. And he talks to people down at the State House month after month and tries to make progress. We think that this legislative session is a very good chance that we will start interacting directly with some of these legislators. Alan Powell is the gentleman that's in charge of the regulated industries. There's many industries other than industry. And he's the gentleman that's going to probably drive this forward. And then there's the man, Victor Anderson, who's the representative that actually dropped the bill to form the study committee that's going to study our industry, and he's moving that forward. And we believe that by the end of this legislative session, there's a chance we could have a bill on the House floor, or maybe not. So I thought I'd tell you guys a little story about my grandfather, just because it's a little bit applicable to licensing. My grandfather, my last name is Boutte, and my great grandfather was named Boots. Boots was a oil driller and not a really smart man, to be honest. But he was a very strong man. one day the circus came to town. This is down in the swamps of Louisiana. Circus came to town and there was a strong man in the circus, and all the other little drillers said, bet you that guy's not as strong as the thing evolved into a competition of sorts, and what they decided to do was to go down where the oil rigs were and start lifting up heavy sections of pipe. It's a way to determine who is stronger, Boots or the circus strongman. And the way they did it was they had them lined up from the heaviest to the lightest. And the circus strongman went up and he said, let's start over here. And my great granddad Boots said, no, we're going to start over here with the new one. And strongman was the guest. He was the new guy in town. So he went first. He went up to that pipe. I guess it was a piece of 6-inch pipe. When he went big long and he couldn't lift it. And so all the other people in the room were like, I can't lift that one. And my great granddad said, you want to try the next one down? And all these guys, they're all looking at him and said, sure, I'll the next one down, tries the next one down, can't lift that one either. And it wasn't until he got to the fourth and lightest section of pipe, second to lightest section of pipe, that he was able to lift that section of pipe up in the air. But he was pretty tired at that point. So it was a simple thing for my great granddad to go over the section of pipe just heavier than that, and lift it up. And when we come to passing a bill, we may not be the strongest people in the room, but we need to be the smartest and most persevering people in the room. And we need to keep on working until we tire everybody out and convince people that we're doing business. And what that means in the world of lobbying is that we need to go on and keep paying lobbyists. And so, I mean, he's a good guy, he's dedicated. And so that's really my message tonight, is that we do need to be patient and need to be dedicated to this goal, because it is worthwhile. We deserve that recognition. We are an industry that, to do our job, you need a lot of knowledge, you need a lot of skill, you need a lot of training, you need a lot of dedication. Why would we not have some basic licensing in place to make sure that those people that enter our trade abide by it? And we're going to need a lot of patience and dedication and intelligence to keep on pushing this until eventually those lovely folks down at the State House get tired and they say, you know what, pass this bill. So thank you guys for everything that you do and everything that you're willing to keep doing. It's one thing to do it, it's another thing to do it to make our industry better. And licensing is just one small part of it. It doesn't affect everything that we do, but it's an important part for the people that do the tree climbing and the application and everything else to have that credential to be recognized. The state and the consumers in our state to be protected as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a lovely night. GFASD, it's really the number of members at this point, and we, like I said, we need money, we need to keep lifting up sections of pipe. You can go to Georgia, you go to safertreeindustry.org, and you can go in there, and it's real self-explanatory. We haven't made it hard to figure out how to give us money. It's not quite as simple as Amazon. Amazon is even better. It's gonna, all you can do is go in there and join up. You can give us some money and some support. And if you're in a position where you can't give money, like maybe you're a public sector worker, you know, like giving money or something like that. We even have a way that you can just express your support for free. You don't have to give us money, because some people feel like, hey, I support this, but so. And of course, if you have any questions, I'm real happy to be here with all.
Thank you for that, sir. Our next sponsor is Potts Grapple Service. Jonathan Potts, do you want to come up?
Sure. Thank you, Brian. Hello to everybody online. Hello to everyone in the room tonight. I always start out with saying it's always a pleasure to be a part of this community. I've been in the tree industry now for about 12 or 13 years and stumbled upon it with one of my buddies that I grew up with. Took a job with Gunnison Tree, and I would watch him and he would call me up and go, "Hey, you want to go to lunch? Hey, you want to go on this 4-day weekend down to the beach?" And I said, "What the heck are you doing, man?" Because I'm selling tree work. And so I watched him for 2 or 3 years and said, I want to be part of that because I could see how much fun he was having and what a good time it was to be in this industry. And as I matured and worked, I ran across a few people that gave me inspiration and gave me the knowledge that I needed to go ahead and become a bigger part of this industry other than just showing up every day and doing a good job working with people and putting together projects. So that's where the inspiration for Pot Scrapple Services came from. I am still a strong soaring member at Gunnison Tree in these days, but I have a great individual that is doing a lot of the day in and day out work, routing trucks and doing things of that nature for Pot Scrapple Services. And we are still in the fledgling beginnings, not even 2 years old right now. We're running 2 trucks full time to help out with anybody and everybody, including people outside of the tree industry, builders, tear down houses, hauling C&D, anything. Everybody knows a grapple truck is very versatile. And the problem that I saw in the market was that so many great tree companies have grapple trucks, but when they're really needed to help other tree companies out in times of storms or during busier parts of the seasons, that those trucks just aren't available enough to share with everybody else. And so that's where I saw a little gap there and reached out, made sure that everybody was good around me in my life to get something going. And it's working out very well. So once the trucks were on the road and picking up logs, and I really got to become part of that and see a bigger piece of that industry, I saw that there is so much good material that is going into unusable bad places. Like if you've ever seen an inert landfill mountain, you know that there is a lot wrong in the system. And so one of the pushes that has been in the back of my head from the beginning is how do we utilize this wood in different ways? And there's a lot of organizations, there's ways to get together. And who's in the room that can remind me the company out of California that started the U-Tree? No, not U-Tree, in California, that was at the wood utilization. There is a nationwide way now to get LEED certified wood into commercial buildings and into other places to utilize the urban wood that we have coming out of our marketplaces to actually kiln dry those, get them certified bug free to go back into production to be used and utilized. And that is one of the key pushes that is always in the back of my head as I'm making decisions and where we take our logs right now that we pick up or other debris that we pick up, and how can the waste of so many things be turned into a product. The agriculture industry has been doing that for a very long time. You can buy planter pots that are made from dairy waste that are the moisture is taken out of, you plant material in them, and your pot is your fertilizer, which there's so many things in this business that we can do with that. So with Pot Scrapple Services, I'm here to serve the industry. I'm always proud to be in this room with so many people that are hardworking and great minds that are, like Tierson said, working together. And so, yeah, thank you. I'm always proud to sponsor and be part of this.
Thanks, Jonathan. Before we get to our next section, I just want to again thank the City of Decatur, Jeff Fasty, and Jonathan Potts, our sponsors.
So we're going to roll right into our educational session this evening. I want to introduce David Morse, our guest speaker this evening. I had the opportunity to work with him, I don't know how many years back, but I learned a lot from him. So I thought it would be a good idea to bring him in to speak with you guys tonight. David Morse is with D.A. Davidson. He's the managing director of investment banking focused on commercial and facility services. He navigates mergers and acquisitions in our industry, whether mergers and acquisitions is something you're interested in on your radar or not. In the end, it's all strategies to help you set your business up for success. So welcome.
Okay, good evening, everybody. It's great to be here. I appreciate the opportunity Great to see some familiar faces here, and always great to meet some new people in the industry. This is an industry that I'm pretty passionate about, not as an operator like all of you, but as an advisor to the industry. So it's always fun to talk about it, always fun to meet new people. You're going to cover a lot of ground here. And Brittany, I think 30 minutes is what we've got. So I've definitely got more content in here than for 30 minutes, but I think you're going to send it around afterward. I've got my contact information in there. So if anybody has any questions, shoot me a text or send me an email, and I'm always happy to chat. The gist of the discussion that I want to roll through is, I wouldn't be surprised if in talking to you, I heard that a number of you are getting calls from outside investment firms. There is a lot of outside investment coming into the tree service industry. Typically, it's from what we call private equity firms, and it's really ramped up in the last couple of years. And I think this is just as Brittany said, you might never want to sell or retire, or you might decide you want to do it sooner rather than later and pursue other entrepreneurial things. Whatever the circumstances, I think there's a lot of good education that hopefully we can talk through here. And please don't hesitate to ask any questions here along the way if there's anything. But I will tell you that I'm going to try to cut myself off at times because there's a lot of ground to cover here. Just briefly about myself, I'm an Atlanta native, grew up in Atlanta, grew up over in Hanover West. If some of you know that, I now live over by Bobby Jones. I went to school in Virginia, and then after that kind of got into this industry, went to business school in Chicago, and I've been doing industrials investment banking for about 15 years. Probably worth clarifying. I hate the term investment banking. Honestly, it's such a misnomer. It means nothing. I call myself a transaction advisor, and that's really what I do. I help people either pursue a transaction, maybe sell part or all of their company, and I'll help buyers complete acquisitions, find targets, get it done. Takes a lot of work. For me, if I get 4 done in a year, that's a great year. If I get 2 done, that's all right. And 3 is pretty good. The firm I'm with now, as mentioned by Brittany, is called D.A. Davidson. There's a little map there that shows you the firm. I'm the star. I'm the guy in Atlanta. We're based, of all places, in Great Falls, Montana. We were founded there 100 years ago. We're a hybrid wealth management firm and investment banking firm. But we've got offices around the U.S., as you can see. I tend to skew sort of east and southeast, but I've definitely done stuff West Coast and across the country. What I really focus on, as Brittany mentioned, is what I call commercial and facility services. Sometimes I'll call it facility, infrastructure, and environmental. But what I really mean more than anything, or the way that I describe it in layman's terms, guys in work boots, guys or gals in work boots is how I think about it. So tree is a particular focus of mine, and we'll talk about that. I've done transactions across resi, commercial, and utility. But there's other sectors that are similar and adjacent. Roofing, for example, I've been doing a lot lately in residential and commercial roofing. Similar to tree, there's a lot of outside investment coming in, a lot of consolidation of smaller companies and building into bigger companies. So you can think of my practice as guys in work boots. Other utility services companies, home services is really ripping and roaring right now. That's HVAC and plumbing and stuff like that. So again, it's outside investment funds consolidating smaller companies, building larger companies. And yes, they eventually will then exit that investment in 3 to 5 years. And then, like I said, I've been in it about 15 years, worked for a firm up in New York, been back in Atlanta 10 years now, worked for a couple different firms, but always doing industrials investment banking. These are some of the deals in the tree service sector that I've worked on. For me, it all started with the Gunnison transaction in 2020. Some of you may know Matt Cathell. Matt and I basically found him an outside equity partner. He sold greater than 50% of the business, which is effectively selling control. But he stayed on board and he retained a large, less than 50% investment in the business. So that one got done right in the heart of COVID in May of 2020. Gunnison, as you guys probably know, was started out as a resi business in Atlanta, really one of the leading, if not the leading resi business in Atlanta, but then very rapidly started picking up some utility work with Georgia Power. And really the business is now more utility, but definitely still doing resi and commercial. And I'll talk a little bit more about it because it's been very much a success story for Matt, for his company, his people, and for the outside investor, which is a firm out of Jacksonville called Warren Equity Partners. I helped an equity group called New State Capital Partners buy control of ArborWorks. They bought about 75% of ArborWorks, which is a big California utility tree company. That deal was over $250 million in value. Big deal. A lot of money being spent out there in California. To be honest, unfortunately, that business is struggling right now because PG&E really pulled back their spending on utility work. But nonetheless, great experience for me. Hyperion was another California business that I helped. I'm sorry, A Plus Tree was the company that I helped a buyer called Hyperion buy. It's one of the largest pure play commercial tree companies in America. They were doing not much utility, really none. They were doing about 30 million a year in sales across a few West Coast branches. And again, that was an investment firm coming in and really buying that business from the wife of the founder. Unfortunately had passed away at a pretty young age. Just last year, I sold a business in the Philadelphia area called Beyond the Leaf to Alpine. Alpine is one of these investment groups that is now very aggressively consolidating the tree service sector. They're doing it through an entity that they call Canopy, as in tree canopy. So I wouldn't be surprised if any of you are getting calls, you're getting them from Alpine or you're getting them from Canopy and so forth. And then very recently, I helped Warren Equity, the same firm that invested in Gunnison, but they're doing this as a separate investment. They're not combining them, at least not yet. And I'm not sure they ever will. They bought control of Townsend, which is, as you guys, some of you may know, is a really large company, roughly $500 million deal. Townsend's kind of a top 5 utility player, along with Asplin, Davey, Wright, Lewis, and then of course Townsend. So those are some of the deals I worked on. And then there's some others that I worked around. Some where I worked on it, they didn't get done. Kendall here in Atlanta, Xylem up in Virginia, Riggs over in Oklahoma. I actually did work on that, and a few others. Edco's a different utility business and energy group. So I actually think I'm the most experienced transaction advisor in the tree service industry in the world over the last 2 or 3 years. Not many people have done this volume, really nobody, specifically in the tree service deals. So when these outside investment groups are trying to understand the sector and they're thinking about it, they're thinking about investing in it, they call me a lot, pick my brain and stuff like that. They know that I know this sector really well. So in talking about the process of selling, but being realistic, a lot of times selling is about monetizing what you built. That is a factor. I would never tell somebody to sell their company if they're not getting money for it, right? And of course, a lot of times it can be about retirement. Somebody's just ready to hang it up. But there's other things I think that I want to make sure that people understand and appreciate, because I don't think it's just about cashing out. A partner can help you accelerate your growth. So in other words, at some level, I like to liken it to gambling in some ways. That's maybe not the best metaphor, but you're taking some chips off the table, and the ones that you're leaving on the table, you're doubling down. So you're trying to get more out of what you leave behind while the security of taking something off the table. And so that's where the accelerate growth comes in. Bring on a partner who knows how to help build businesses. They've got access to money to buy equipment. They can help you hire more people, the ability to drive growth. And frankly, acquiring other companies is often a big part of that growth. Income security, if you stick around and keep working for the company, which many people do when they sell control of their company, you're going to get a fixed salary long term with potential bonuses. So you're going to get actually some income security that you may not have as an owner, as a founder. Payroll, you don't ever have to worry about making payroll because your financial backer has got that handled, not on your dime. Buying equipment, same kind of deal. Equipment's very expensive. You bring in a partner that's got access to capital, and you're buying it through the company, not through your personal balance sheet. No more personal guarantees, for example. Liability, you get out of a lot of liability potentially should something happen, an accident or whatnot, that somehow would get that you could get wrapped up in environmental liabilities, something like that. And then the last one here that I don't want to gloss over, skills and development. You get into this deal world, you will develop a lot of new skills around business building, around acquisitions, things like that. So I never want to, it could be a situation that somebody helps you or somebody comes in and buys control of your company. You help them grow it for 3, 4, 5 years. Then they sell it. Now they're going to call you. Hey, we're going to try to buy a residential roofing company. Would you want to lead it for us? We're going to buy a residential remodeling company. We want to buy a chemical lawn care company, a commercial landscaper. So you get in that club. As long as their investment with you goes well, you'll basically become known as somebody who could be an executive of a private equity strategy. There's kind of 3 types of buyers broadly that I think of. There's the top here, the private equity funds. So that's like where just They're managing pools of capital. That's them coming in and just saying, I'm going to buy a tree company. I don't own one yet, but I'm going to buy a tree company. The other end of the spectrum is the big boy, what we call strategic players, your Asplins, your Bartlett's, which is family owned, Brightview, which is publicly traded, which is an ESOP, Davy, which is an ESOP, Lewis is an ESOP. That's another kind of buyer. And then the middle ground is the what we call private equity backed platforms. So these are the company, or these are the this is where a private equity firm already has their tree company and they're looking to add others to it. It's an in-betweener. The way that I think about these, let's see if I can move that thing it's not a big deal, but hang on one second here. There's a few different ways, don't worry about it, I'm just going to leave it, that I think about it in terms of how should you think about different types of buyers. There's frankly the liquidity piece. How much cash are you going to get out of it? There's how much business disruption, and this column on the right says what it is team disruption. It's basically pretty similar to you and your team, how much disruption. The standalone private equity fund is probably going to look to buy 60 to 80% of your business, maybe 51 to 80%. They want you to keep a lot of skin in the game. And whereas these guys are more just trying to really, they want to keep a lot of the skin in the game for you because they're going to lean on you to keep growing your company. You're selling to an existing company in these two cases, so they're more willing to more fully cash you out. So they're going to maybe buy 80 to 100% of your company. Rough numbers, but that's often how it goes. And the business disruption is the other thing. And again, in team disruption, it would be that far right column that you can't see. That to me is the top guy, the private equity fund that comes in and buys you as their first investment in the sector. They're not going to change too much on you because they're buying you because they like you. They think you're doing something right. They think you're a good team, a good company to back. So they're not going to really change too much about what you're doing or about your team. The other end of the spectrum, the strategic guys, these are billion-dollar companies, right? They are more likely to say, hey, man, we got our practices. We do our things our way. So we're going to buy you, and then you're going to change to fit our mold at some level, right? So that's why I kind of show those as being red or an orange there. And then the PE-backed companies are somewhere in between. These just aren't quite as big. The private equity firms themselves that are making the decisions at some level are not operators. They value your operational ability in your industry. They know that they could never be the tree guy that you could be. So they're likely they will learn from you, but they want you to learn from them. And so it's an in-betweener in terms of the level of disruption, in my opinion. Big boys, most disruption, private equity fund that doesn't own a company least, and then the guys that already own a tree company, somewhere in between. A lot of different ways to think about it, but to me, those are big things to think about. How much are they going to cash me out? How much are they going to change my business? And how much are they going to maybe change my team? Stepping back for a minute, don't worry too much about the data. All this is basically in the charts. All this is basically saying is that these equity investment funds are deploying more and more capital over time. They're getting bigger and bigger. The pension funds, the endowments, the high net worth individuals are giving them more and more money to spend. And the way I think about it is very rough numbers that I've heard before. 15 years ago, private equity probably owned 5% of the American economy. Nowadays, they probably own 10% of the American economy. 15 years from now, they'll probably own 20% of the American economy. And so we're seeing more money going into it. And what that is doing that's good, frankly, for founders and business owners, this is a measure of valuation of companies. And you can see they are driving up the value of companies, right? So basically the way I think about that is the number of investable companies isn't changing that much, but the demand for investable companies is increasing as private equity firms control more money. That's driving up the prices of companies. Asplin used to buy utility tree companies for 5 times earnings. Okay. Nowadays, Asplin can't even compete with the private equity firms. They're not willing to spend what the private equity firms are willing to spend to pull these companies together, to consolidate. And this is happening everywhere. This is happening in the facility world, commercial landscaping, home services, everywhere, really. Even physician practice groups, dental clinics, doctors' clinics. We're seeing a lot of this. Much longer conversation on whether you think this is good or bad. I think the truth is there's good and bad about it. But that's what's going on here at a high level. These are, okay, I am going to try to move this now. Let me see if I can. Bear with me for 1 minute. Didn't want to go here. There we go. There we go. Well, I don't know if I did that. Is it going to come back? Yes. Pull it down here. Think I've got it. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, so. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it's tricky. I'm not used to the trackpad. Okay. So this is showing the private equity tree company platforms that have been established in the last few years. Okay. And the top is utility, which I recognize is the least relevant for people here, I think. And then you have residential and commercial down here. And I put resi commercial together at some level, similar businesses. But what you can see is that in utility, this all started kind of 2017, 2016. It simmered along and then it really heated up post-COVID. And frankly, in some level post-Gunnison. And I think part of the story there is we got the Gunnison deal done in May of anything else? You're just trying to help? Okay. We got the Gunnison deal done in May of 2020. And if you think about May of 2020, that was the height of COVID uncertainty, right? When COVID first hit in March, I was skeptical it was going to be that big of a deal. And then by May of 2020, you had 5,000 people dying a day in America, right? Very uncertain time. And the deal world, in the transaction world of private equity investment, really shut down. We got that Gunnison deal done right in the height of all that uncertainty. A lot of other private equity firms said, gosh, if you can buy this kind of business in this kind of environment, this must be a nice, stable business, serving these utilities and cutting trees. Utilities have a lot of money and trees keep growing. This must be a nice, stable business. And that was what led to a lot of the rash of activity here thereafter. On the resi commercial side, it's a little bit different. You had CI Capital building Save a Tree starting in, I believe, 2017. And what's not shown here is in 2021, CI Capital sold their stake to a new equity investment firm called Apex Partners out of Boston. And it was an overwhelming success for CI Capital. I mean, I won't get into the numbers because those kind of things are a little bit confidential, but it was an overwhelming success that made a lot of private equity firms say, man, maybe I should invest in the tree service sector. And so we have seen some new stuff form. Of course, the two that I worked on, this is one out in the Northwest. This is one that's consolidated in various places called Tree Care Partners. And the Tree Guardians is another one. So we're seeing more of that. I think we're going to see more of that. And again, this is also, I would emphasize, there's a lot of interest in home services. COVID increased outside investor interest in home services. People sitting around the homes, home values going way up, and people's willing. So we've seen home services get really hot in general. So I think of tree service as a form of a home service. So residential roofing, residential remodeling, all that kind of stuff. And so it's interesting what we've got going on right now. And again, the whole point of this conversation that I'm doing here is because I wouldn't be surprised if some of you guys are getting phone calls because people are looking to consolidate. Sometimes they're bigger, sometimes they're smaller groups. They're willing to start small. Okay, I'm not going to dwell too much on this page. This is similar to what I just showed you. I'm just going to do a time check here. Apologize. What I wanted to show you here was actually Gunnison. I wanted to show you what they have done because it illustrates the private equity consolidation strategy very well. Again, 2020, Warren Equity invests in Gunnison. Later that year, they go and buy a business in Virginia called Pittman. It was a little smaller than the original Gunnison. 2021, they buy West Tree Service in Arkansas, which is actually bigger than the original Gunnison. They buy Woodson in Louisiana. They buy Distinctive in the Northeast. And they buy Birchcrest in upstate New York. And there's a few other smaller ones they bought. But so Gunnison, which when I was working with Matt was somewhere between 25 and 50 million of annual sales. I mean, that business now is well north of 200 million in annual sales through a lot of the companies they've bought. So it illustrates that whole consolidation strategy. I'm going to focus here. This is intended to say what do investors, why do people like the tree service sector? Why are they interested in it? And the reason for liking residential and commercial is very different from utility. Residential and commercial, the biggest reason of all is this is a highly fragmented industry with lots of little companies that they can consolidate till the cows come home, right? So they know they can keep buying. So that is the beauty of it, buying a lot of small companies. I'd also say that the nice thing about a residential or commercial tree business is usually you're pretty nicely diverse. No one homeowner or customer constitutes that much of your revenue. So it's a nice diverse business. Contrast that with utility, which utility is highly concentrated, right? If you're doing work for Georgia Power, you're doing tons of work for Georgia Power probably. And the other things about residential and commercial, it's not quite as equipment heavy as utility. Every utility crew needs a bucket truck and a chipper pretty much. And as you guys know, in the resi and commercial world, not necessarily. You do a lot of climbing. You don't necessarily need heavy equipment. It helps. Some use more equipment than others, but it's not that asset intensive, at least compared to utility. It's all about the fact that utility customers have very stable demand that is deemed not tied to the economy. And the data tells you that utilities have spent more on tree trimming every year for the last 25 years. The Great Recession, it maybe was flat or declined 1%. But so there's really stable demand with utilities, and that's what the outside investors like about it. So let me make sure I didn't skip a page. Okay, good. So this is an attempt to walk somebody through what a sale looks like. A lot of numbers here, a lot of text. Definitely ignore the text for now. But when you're reading this afterwards, should you choose to do so, hopefully it'll be helpful. So in the industrials world, generally speaking, and in the world, generally speaking, most companies are valued based on how much profit do you have? And then some multiplier of that profit. Okay. The term that is often used is called EBITDA. And I'll explain it in more detail on the next page. It's a form of earnings power. Okay. Measuring the magnitude of your annual earnings power. And then the multiple we'll talk about, it's different for every industry, every company. A lot of things play into the multiple. But in the tree service industry, I would say broad numbers, every deal is different. But that multiple is anywhere from 4 to 8 times on EBITDA. A small company that's maybe volatile and maybe has some hair on it in various forms might trade for 4 times their EBITDA. A nicer, larger one that's more stable, diversified, growing could maybe trade for 8 times. And certainly can be north of that, but I'm just trying to do the best I can to keep it within a reasonable box that can be spoken to. So in this particular case, this is an example of a company that is generating $1 million per year of EBITDA. And again, the next page we'll talk about what EBITDA is. The valuation of the company in this particular case, the buyer is willing to pay 5.5 times. 5.5 times. So that's an enterprise value, company value of $5.5 million. As mentioned earlier, in many cases, in most cases, unless maybe you're sold to a real big boy, strategic, they are going to want you to leave some money in it. And so I show you getting cash out 85% and keeping 15% in the business. So that's going to be proceeds of 4.7 million, basically. Now, how do I get from, but what's going to actually go in your pocket? There's still some other considerations. Certainly there's the tax man. Not going to get into that too much. The tax can really vary based on the deal structure. It could be anywhere from basically 20% plus, which is long-term capital gains, which would be in a stock transaction, an act where they're buying your equity, or in an asset sale, you could face as much as 35% plus. And now what happens though is if you're smart enough, you hire somebody like me or a good accountant or a good attorney. If they want it to be an asset deal, then you say, my taxes are going to be a lot higher, so you got to pay me. Okay. So usually you can get to the same place, but rest assured you're going to pay taxes on it. Debt is paid off at closing. So they're buying the company with basic cash-free, debt-free. And so that's going to be your bank loans. That's going to be your equipment loans. And maybe you got some business credit cards with some balances outstanding, stuff like that. You're going to have to pay that off. If you got cash in the business in the bank accounts, you get to keep that. We use the term, you sweep that. They will come in and put probably some new debt on the business, but in doing so, they will also put cash on the business. So you got to pay off your debt, but you get to keep cash. And then you're going to have some transaction expenses, which that's not a lot. That would maybe be just for an attorney. Of course, I'm going to have my own fee. My accountants would have some costs as well. And so then that's your proceeds. That's what you get. Now, there was that for the 85%, the 3.1. Now, there was that 15% that they made you leave in the business. So what happens to that, right? We don't know what happens to it, really. You can't say. This investment might go really well for them and for you. You might double that money. You might triple. You might quadruple it. Well, you get that money back. You're going to get that money out when they sell the company after they've done building it. That could be 3, 4, 5 years. But I will tell you that more often than not, that money you left in, you're very happy you left some in. More often than not. Most of the time, you're investing shoulder to shoulder with the equity firm. So if they make 3 times the equity they put in, you're going to make 3 times. So that $825K would become $2.475 million in that particular case. But there's no certainty around that. So that's the deal map. This EBITDA thing, what it really is it is your annual sales minus your annual operating cash expenses. So it is your sales minus your salary, minus your fuel, minus your labor, your rent. It is your and the other way that they'll build it up. So again, this is going to illustrate it better. It's your bottom line net income, okay, on your P&L in any given year, but you get to add back any interest expense on any debt, okay, because that's considered non-operating. You're going to pay off that debt anyway. That interest expense would go away. Taxes is non-operating. You're going to add back your taxes, and then depreciation and amortization is non-cash. So that's just accounting. It's not cash. So you basically to add that back too. And that gets you to what we call reported, and I should say, what is EBITDA? Earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. So that's your reported EBITDA. Then there could be other adjustments that you were going to make. Gosh, I had this really crazy thing happen, and we had to spend $220,000 on an attorney. We've never had to do that before. We had some crazy lawsuit. Okay, you get to add that back. Okay, I got a bunch of personal expenses in business. Yeah, you can add that back. As long as you're not going to put personal expenses on the business in the future, you can add that back. So exceptional stuff and non-operating and unusual stuff gets adjusted out. Now that's incumbent on you as a seller to be savvy about that, or to hire somebody like me, or to hire a transaction accountant that can help. That's the derivation of EBITDA, and that's what the multiplier is going to go against. And then the multiplier, that 4 to 8 times broadly, okay? It depends on a lot of stuff, and it's hard to know where it shakes out. What does it depend on? The bigger you are, the higher the multiple. So I use the term scale there. The more diversified you are, the higher the multiple. I'm not going to hit all these. Stability, the more stable your business has it been really choppy up and down, or has it been pretty smooth every year for the last 3 or 4 years? That's going to be better to be smooth. Growth, if you can demonstrate historical growth, or if you have historical growth, it's pretty nice. And I think 5 to 15% annual growth is pretty good. If the more, the better, and sort of ability to demonstrate future growth. We brought on more crews, we entered new markets, et cetera, et cetera. So growth is a key one. Size, again, scale, stability. These are 3 big ones. We talked about capital intensity means how equipment heavy are you? The more equipment heavy, a little bit, the worse, because you're spending more money on that equipment off the P&L every year. There's cash flow going out of the business. And then the other big ones, safety is important. It's not just about safety ratings. It's about how many incidents and claims you had. And it's also very much about having a strong culture of safety. Are you doing safety meetings every morning and so forth? Safety is a big one. And then labor. The truth of the matter is, some labor that may not be completely kosher, you can get away with, but it still will be deemed as a negative. A lot of labor problems, nobody's going to buy your company. You just can't transact. And all that will be dug into by the buyer before they send you money. So that's a lot of but the team matters as well. Management. preference for experienced, cohesive, and complete management teams. So team matters. The softer stuff really does matter. It's not just about numbers. The softer stuff around labor, around safety, around team, that stuff really does matter. Integrity, quite frankly, buyers will run background checks on the owners. It's not always going to kill a deal if there's something bad in there. They care about that stuff. They really do. I know I've ripped through this, but what, another couple minutes and we're good? Is that good?
You okay if we hold the Q and A until make your rounds, we can do that? then?
Absolutely, absolutely. And then maybe just another couple minutes and we're good.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Yeah, I know I've ripped through it. So the timing, we can't see the headers on the page, which is fine. This is saying, what do I consider around timing? When am I going to make a move? If I want to sell, when do I sell? And there's some things that are in your control and some things that are out of your control. And I'd say the most important thing, honestly, when you're considering it is it's usually the personal stuff, right? It's, are you ready to retire? Succession planning. And again, you don't necessarily have to retire, but if you are, how much are you going to value that greater financial security that you'll get from taking some value cash out of the business and stepping away from personal loans and things like personal guarantees? Are you willing to report to a new partner or owner? Obviously, a lot of people in this room are entrepreneurs, and some of you have probably never worked for anybody, at least not in a long time. And so you got to think about that too. Are you ready for it? And there's related to that, are you ready to let go of your baby? What you've built, your life's passion. How do you feel about effectively at the end of the day, even though you may still operate it on a daily basis, they call the shots at the end of the day from the board, if you will. Market activity. So that's the biggest thing to me, the personal side of things. The other things are just, what is the market right now? You cannot control this, but this is the kind of thing that I can tell you. And the biggest thing, it's all related, economic outlook, interest rates, deal market conditions. Is the deal world hot? Are values high? Are they willing to pay? Are we seeing tree companies trade for 8 times with regularity or 5 times EBITDA? That's important. And unfortunately, you just can't control it. Right now is pretty, even though the deal market as a whole is a little, I'd say, shaky. People are trying to see where we're going. Are we going to have a recession? Are we not? But the tree service market, for all the reasons I talked about earlier, is hot. People are trying to build tree service platforms. Business trajectory, I would say that I'd put it this way. It's tough to get a good deal for a business that's declining. It's a lot easier to get a better outcome for a business that is growing, as I mentioned before. But the growth thing is a little bit tricky, because if you've got really strong growth, like if you're kicking butt, then you may want to wait a couple of years. Let the EBITDA number get larger. Let your earnings get larger, then sell. Even if your growth will start to taper off. So you want to sell with some growth, but if you got really strong growth, you may say, wait a minute, I should wait a couple of years and let the business continue to grow. And then the last thing is, do you think you'd benefit from a partner? Are you looking to take on a partner and you want to stick around that can help you build the business with acquisitions, with marketing? Maybe they've got other interests where they can do what we call cross-selling, selling across their other companies. Just their strategic guidance. So again, it's a little bit of a personal decision there, but maybe it's specific to you and your company. So that's how I think about it. What's going on in the market? What's going on in your business? Does a new partner help? And then how do you feel from a personal standpoint? I think that's gotten through the bulk of what I wanted to get through. I've got some 3 pages here in the back you guys can all look at, which are the do's and don'ts and other considerations that I figured I wouldn't have time to get into. But they're largely about just preparing. Your numbers need to be in good shape. Your contracts, to the extent they're important, need to be in good shape. You need to think about your employees and messaging to them at the right time. Some of your employees may need to help you with the deal. Your key people may need to actually be aware and be involved. Your less key people, maybe you don't tell them about it until the deal actually happens. Personal planning, and I'm going into it, but there's a couple things here that I think get professional advice, whether it's me or an attorney or both. And the last thing I would say just to think about is the second one here, really. Expect a non-compete. You always hear that non-competes are not really enforceable. About the only time they are enforceable in our country is when you sell your company. Typically, you sell your company, market terms for a non-compete is you're not going to be able to compete for 3 to 5 years. That's all negotiated. Is it 3, is it 4, is it 5? Post-closing is basically the way to think about it. That's a ton of information, I know, but I want to make myself available now and hereafter. Feel free to reach out to me.
I just wanted to take a moment and remind you guys that we have an awesome board, and me and Helen, we couldn't do it all by ourselves. So we need every single board member, sponsor, member that comes to events and supports us. So we greatly appreciate you all. I just wanted to take a moment to recognize our 2023 board members that are exiting, and then of course the new 2024 board members that are coming in. If you could all please stand for me. Everybody stand. GAA board members, everybody. Thank you guys so much for all of your hard work, help, and support throughout the year.
Hey everyone, I'm Logan House. I am the Vice President of the Georgia Arborist Association. I am presenting the White Oak Award this year. The White Oak Award is for the individual, company, or association which has demonstrated leadership, commitment, innovation, impact, and sustainability in tree work. This year, the White Oak Award is presented to Save Georgia's Hemlocks. Through education and charitable service, this nonprofit located in North Georgia works tirelessly to ensure future generations of Georgians will be able to enjoy a healthy population of hemlocks in our state forests. Is someone here from the from Save Georgia's Hemlocks this evening? Thank you. Sure. Award. Should we get a picture?
Indeed.
Awesome.
It's gorgeous.
Thank you. It's a great bowl. Who made the bowls this year? Mark Soil.
Yeah, you can.
Great.
And if you have anything you want to say, feel free.
Just
take a moment.
you.
Just
Sure, I'll
remember to
take
speak directly into it.
Thank you all very much. My name is Donna Scherer. I am the Outbound Executive Director for St. George's Hemlocks. And we began as a very small group in 2009. And now we're about 7,000 people who are on our contact list and come out and volunteer and support us. As he said just a moment ago, our two main things are education and charitable service. We try to teach people, homeowners, the general public, our volunteers, the importance of trees and hemlocks in particular. And then we engage them, the people, the volunteers, in helping us actually save the trees. The trees are being attacked, as you probably know, by an invasive insect called hemlock woolly adelgid. They are evil little beasties, very tiny, and they kill the trees. So we treat the trees and save them. And so far, we're nudging about 60,000 trees since we began. And I want to tell you, it is a labor of love. We are so blessed to be given the privilege of tending the garden, and we tend each other. We have a wonderful group of volunteers who love the trees and their people. And I put it in that order on purpose. We have been privileged to help a lot of property owners, but also the DNR, Georgia Forestry Commission, the U.S. Forest Service, so many organizations and other volunteer organizations like Travel Limited and beekeepers and just lots of different organizations have come together to see that one particular tree is part of the whole. And we're blessed to be a part of that whole as well. So I want to thank my husband, Mark, for his love, patience with me as a recovering workaholic and unabashed tree hugger. Buzz Stone, who is our chairman of the board and has been a steady guiding hand for many years. Holly Cochran, who is now our incoming executive director. Holly. And Russell Tonning, thank you for nominating me, and to your board, thank you for accepting me. This is a great honor. So if you all want to learn more about these beautiful hemlock trees, we can help you with that. If you would like to come out and volunteer and help us actually put our boots on the ground and save some more trees, we can help you with that too. Thank you very much. I appreciate this great honor.
Thank you.
The next award is going to be for the Community Service Award. This award is for the, I'm going to change the text slightly, for the organization who has best demonstrated their interest in community service to the industry during the 2023 year. The 2023 Community Service Award is presented to the Georgia Tree Council. The Georgia Tree Council's mission is to sustain Georgia's green legacy through partnership in raising awareness toward improving and maintaining our community forest. Throughout the year, the GTC accomplishes this mission through education on vital urban forestry topics, a landmark and historic tree registry, and the Georgia Relief Program. So I'm honored to present this award, especially because I've been a board member of the GTC for the last 5 years. I think that I was actually supposed to accept this award on behalf of the Georgia Tree Council. However, because of my new position with the Georgia Arborist Association, I've actually had to step down as the incoming president of the Georgia Tree Council, so I'll no longer be serving on that board. However, it's a wonderful organization and they absolutely deserve this award. And I think that the best person to receive this award on behalf of the Georgia Tree Council would be either Seth or Joan, because the Georgia Tree Council would not exist without the support of the Georgia Forestry Commission. The Georgia Forestry Commission not only supports the Georgia Arborist Association in all the activities that we do throughout the year, but also the Georgia Tree Council. They work very closely together. Seth, thank you for accepting this award on behalf of the Georgia Tree Council, and thank you for all the work and the support of the Georgia Forestry Commission.
I just applauded myself. That's fun. No, thanks, Jesse. Thanks, everybody here. On behalf of GTC, so I ride the line between Georgia Tree Council and Georgia Arborist Association, right? And so the Georgia Forestry Commission, we couldn't get what we tried to get done, which if you want to learn more about it, gatrees.org, you can go on our website. Haha. But for real, we could not get what we try to get done without both sides of it. And so I love the reciprocity. Is that the word? Yeah. Between the two, GAA talking with GTC with this award. So thank y'all for including GTC in this. Thank you for everything y'all do. Again, y'all are making the work happen every day. Almost $7 or $8 billion a year of impact. This room, y'all are the leadership of that industry. I'm just saying. So anyway, thank you so much.
Thanks, Seth.
Thank you. I'll give it to Mary Lynn and Mel. Anyway, you'll make it.
Mary Lynn could not be here this evening. However, it will be presented to her, I'm sure.
Yes.
Just hit the button, Brittany, for the next line. You know my computer savviness. Just the arrow. Did I do it? One more. There we go. All right. See, now everybody knows that I don't know how to work electronics. All right. I'm giving out the award for the Friend of the GAA tonight. This award is for an individual who has gone out of their way to support arboriculture as an industry and the GAA and to help us reach our educational goals. This award is presented to actually a good friend of mine, Aaron Paulson. Did Aaron, you end up making it? Where are you at here? All right. While he's making his way up here, I'll give you a little bit about Aaron. Aaron is a program director of environmental horticulture at Gwinnett Technical College. Give it the proper name. And in addition to his enthusiasm for his students, and introducing them to and encouraging them into arboriculture, he has been an amazing supporter of our organization. Him and I have worked closely together for many years now, and he has opened up his campus for many events that we've done there. Most recently, a lot of the Spanish training that we've done with help from Tierson. There's your plug, buddy. Awesome.
Thank you, everyone. I enjoy participating wherever I can with the Georgia Arborist Association and bringing many of you on campus. We do a 2-year associate's degree, and kind of the 4 areas are landscaping, urban farming, floral design, and plant production. And right tucked in there is arboriculture. So some of you personally have been on our campus to help. And so here's my plug. Starting Tuesday is our spring semester. On Tuesdays from 2:30 to 5, we're teaching our arboriculture science class, which is, we use the ISA Certified Arborist Training Manual as the textbook. We go through it to give them an idea of the tree care industry. So I will say for most of my students, they are fascinated with trees. They don't understand the opportunities in this industry. So for those of you who don't know what I'm asking, is that I put out an invitation for tree care professionals to come and present one of the chapters in the textbook. So I'll get everything set up for you and be there for support. But what I want is it taught from your perspective of being in the industry and to be able to tell them what you do from day to day. And so we try to get a good run from different parts of the industry, everything from municipal arborists to those that operate the equipment and tree climbing. We even have the chapters on lightning protection and so forth. So a lot of opportunity there. I want you to tell them what's in that chapter, but more importantly, what you do in the industry on a day-to-day basis so they can see and understand. And if there's a hands-on activity tied to it, even better. And so give me your cards. I'm going to send out the invitation this week for those who want to participate. And just for fun, I brought one graduate from our program who now works for Bartlett Tree Expert. So you can bug him about what he got out of it. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, sorry, we forgot our photo. Oh. All right, our next award is going to be presented by Danae.
Okay. I was really excited when I got asked to present this award because these people are very special to me. Their first time volunteering, I got to spend some time with them and got to know them. And when you just click with people, and these people just really clicked with me and just became very special to my heart. So I'm excited to present this to them. This award is the Commercial Arboriculture Safety Award. This award is presented to the company that initiates the most innovative safety practice or safety program and is an example to the industry for creating a culture of safety within an organization. The 2023 Commercial Arboricultural Safety Award is presented to Top Tier Tree. Top Tier has made a considerable achievements in 2023 toward elevating their culture of safety through many initiatives, resulting in a national safety award from their insurance company. Some examples of their efforts include driver safety initiatives per FMCSA standards, job site safety efforts within their proprietary job ops process, ongoing training and continued education in subjects as advancing as trauma care and first responder training, as granular as ongoing tailgate safety and weekly training meetings and annual certifications, collaborative efforts with insuring agencies, inter-industry colleagues and partners, as well as state and federal compliance offices to drive a culture of dynamic and ever-growing safety practices. This ethos is a founding in their core values of integrity, honesty, bold action, generosity, adaptability, respect, and customer service.
Thank you guys for everyone here. My name is David Hall. I am the founder of Top Tier Trees. And I have a background as a production climber. It's how I really got into the industry. I was always a fan of risking my life for fun. And then it turned into something that I could do to earn a living. And I'm very lucky, very blessed to have stumbled upon this industry here in Atlanta. And the culture of safety really started from a standpoint of self-preservation. Obviously, as a climber, I wanted to make sure I had a long career. But as I progressed through the industry and worked for great companies and not so great companies as a contract climber, I really saw the need for continued education and focus on making sure we have long, prosperous careers. And as an owner of a service, safety is of paramount concern for us because I love our people. I do. We're families and we know their children and we spend time together, and really having a drive to preserve their careers and their livelihoods and be able to provide for their families is so rewarding for me as an owner. And obviously the safety oriented side of our business is clearly neglected, and I'm proud and honored to be awarded this award. But honestly, I don't think I can really take much credit for that, because it's the team that we have and that we have built that has really led to the level of safety that we have and that we promote within the team. And I really can't take credit for that. Honestly, I can try to spearhead that and I can try to share my experience and we can put things in place that keep everybody safe. But really, the people that spearhead that are our managers, our crew leaders. And I couldn't do that all by myself. The boots on the ground really look up to one person in my company in particular. I wanted to introduce you guys all to my general manager, Mario Castellano. He's really been a brilliant leader in connecting the needs of management and the desires and dreams and hopes and aspirations of everybody from the ground up. And so I just wanted to thank Mario, because we wouldn't be where we are if he wasn't so dialed in and working so many hours and diligently dealing with every little thing that comes up with a company of our size. And also my beautiful wife, Mandy, who has really turned our company into something that we can be proud of. I'm just a tree climber that founded the company. Thank you guys so much for the award, and the people who have won this award before us. I feel very fortunate to be considered in that company, and just thank you guys so much. I think Mandy wanted to say something.
Yeah, Mario, if you would come up just quickly, we want to give Mario the opportunity because we attribute the winning of this award to him. But my name is Mandy Hall. I'm the president of Top Tier Trees. And I wasn't planning to say anything, but Danae really pulled on my heartstrings. It's an absolute honor to win an award like this, but mostly to win it from a group of people like you. Danae was the first in the Georgia Arborist Association to really welcome me in and take me under her wing in a way. And it has been one of the greatest highlights of last year for me to have the opportunity to meet so many of you and to share experiences and to be mentored by so many of you. And I just want to say thank you.
Hi, everyone. I may be the newbie here. I just been involved in this beautiful and wonderful industry for 3 years now. but that's something that I fell in love with. And I will start saying thanks to God to allow us to have this opportunity right now. Obviously, I would love to start saying thanks to the Georgia Arborist Association, all the efforts you do, your hard work. That's what strive us to be better every day. Thanks for that. Obviously, I would love to thank Mandy and David. I think without their humanity side, their hearts, that wouldn't be possible. So I really appreciate all you do for us, the way you handle us, and all your spirit keep us motivated to do better every day too. Obviously, I would love to say thanks to our wonderful executive team, which is great and it's always pushing through every adversity, getting special training for our guys, solving problems, getting feedbacks for all our friends on the tree industry, which is really important for us too. I would love to say thanks to those guys too, because instead of call you competitors, I would love to call you friends. All your feedback or your help through everything has been really helpful for me too on this safety award too. Last but not least, I would love to say thanks to our warriors out there. Those are the guys facing every adversity against extreme weather conditions, customer service, traffic, all those stuff. And they had the ability to come back to the yard with a big smile. And that's what we always work for. Always with our hearts full of joy and try to do the best for us. So thanks everyone. Have a good night.
Hello, everybody. My name's Kay Ivanovich. I'm the arborist for the city of Decatur. I'm also the treasurer for GAA. Been working in this industry for a while, and it is my true honor to give the Kim Coder Education Award this year. This award is given to an individual in recognition of a lifetime achievement for a career in educational efforts. So we may not be the ones that are climbing trees, but we're teaching you how to climb trees, right? And doing all that fun stuff with it. The person who receives this award basically demonstrates the best commitment to Dr. Coder's education of arborists and the public about the trees and the professional tree care. So it is my great pleasure to announce that this year's 2023 Kim Coder Educational Award is presented to Joan Scales. Joan's really coming up here. Now, while she's waking her way up, Joan is the partnership coordinator of the Georgia Forestry Commission and is also on the board of the Georgia Tree Council. For many years, Joan's advocacy and support of GAA's educational programming, primarily of our Spanish educational workshops, and the ISA certified arborist prep courses, which I might have something to do with. I don't know what we'd do without her, really. Joan's partnership, her guidance, and the support has been invaluable to the GAA and to the community of tree care professionals to help grow this profession and together protect our beautiful tree canopy. Thank you, Joan.
Thank you, Kay. I normally have Seth do all this speaking in front of the public, but thank you. I am very honored, especially since this award is named after Kim Coder. Dr. Coder has always been somebody that I've respected since the day I got into this industry. So it's been about close to 20 years now. So I'm really honored, but I will say that all the work that we do is teamwork. Thanks to all the wonderful, dedicated people that I work with in the urban program in the Georgia Forestry Commission, as well as all of our partners, the GAA and the Georgia Tree Council. I'm very pleased to be able to retire knowing that I've helped hopefully hundreds of arborists to get certified and to get more education. And I also appreciate the fact that I got the last 2 years to get to know Brittany and all the wonderful things that she's capable of and how much I'm going to miss her as she moves on to new chapters of her life. So again, thank you so much. But again, this is teamwork. We're all in this together. And I really appreciate everybody's efforts in continuing the education of all the arborists that work in tree care today. Thanks very much. And next we have.
All right, everybody. I am here to present the GAA Member of the Year Award. This award is presented to the individual member who has shown the best support for the GAA and all its activities during the year. This award goes to Shem Kendrick of Coastal Arbor Care. If you could come on up, Shem. And while Shem's on his way up, I'll tell you, I had quite a handful of pictures to choose from of him in that shirt. So I think he has a lot of GAA shirts. I just want to say he has been appropriately nicknamed our coastal cheerleader due to his passion for helping the GAA promote engagement in the coastal Georgia region. Shem has contributed to our coastal programming by being a speaker at events, rallying the coastal community to increase attendance, and helping to determine educational topics most relevant to the coastal arborist needs. His time and efforts to the GAA and the coastal arborist community is greatly appreciated.
So I'm based out of Savannah, Georgia, where it seems the arborist community is lagging behind about 20 years. And I think it was, well, I knew a guy that knew a guy that knew a certified arborist, and it seemed so unattainable. I was climbing on a Blake's hitch, nobody on the crew wore helmets, and that was just the norm across the industry there. And somebody dropped out of a tree climbing competition, and with a week's notice, I decided to go. I think it was 2016. I'm not good with years. I'm not really sure how old I am, but I went to my first comp at the Georgia Arborist Association's tree climbing competition, and that really changed my career in a drastic way. So I really owe pretty much everything from there on to the Georgia Arborist Association. Acquiring, I saw everybody there was, or almost everybody was certified arborists, and suddenly seemed attainable. And then those mentors that I met there helped me push my career to become a BCMA. And I'm just really excited to be a participant and help bring education to the coastal region in hopes that we can push the industry forward there locally. So thanks to the Georgia Arborist Association for making that possible down there on the coast.
Sorry, wardrobe change. All right, everybody, I need, oh, she put it there. Beautiful. So the next award we're giving out is the President's Award. This award is presented to an individual, company, or organization for their efforts on behalf of the GAA and the arboricultural community. This award tonight, I'm giving out to the Sirens Project. We have someone here represent? Beautiful. So the Sirens Project is a non-for-profit organization born from a combination of a passion for severe weather and helping others. Beginning with roots in storm research and then shifting to focus on assisting communities, nonprofits, and local authorities with organizational and deployment of skilled volunteers, supplies, specialized equipment, and response for natural disasters. The Sirens Project, since joining the GAA in 2022, has stood out not only for their philanthropy efforts in the community, but also for the examples they set for their dedication to safety in the industry, as well as their promotion of the profession. In 2023, the Sirens Project volunteered as a speaker at the GAA Summer Workshop to share about their organization and to share their unique knowledge and insight into storm and disaster work. If you do get a chance, please check out their website. It is amazing.
My name is Morgan Kazi. My wife is sitting right here too. She helped start this whole thing. We've been in the disaster response world since 2017, but really settled into the tree care aspect of disasters shortly after that. So we gave all of our efforts and attention to that, not just providing debris removal and immediate route clearance as the disaster is unfolding or shortly after, but also helping those communities set them up for long-term success with their trees after the disaster is long gone. There's a huge need in the disaster response industry or space where tree care can sometimes be overlooked when it comes to long-term sustainability. And so it's something that we're really trying to dedicate ourselves to. And I'm just super honored to receive this award, super honored to be a part of this association. We met so many incredible people through this association. John right here has gone out with us to serve in these people after disasters that don't have the resources to pay for professional tree care. And so it's just been really rewarding. And David back there, David Breeden, learned a lot from him online through some of the live streams that I've been a part of. And so it's just an incredible community. I really appreciate everybody welcoming us in as one of your own. And it's just been amazing. I'm really excited to continue to learn from so many talented people in this room. So thank you so much.
All right, so I'm only up here momentarily because let's see here. Christy was supposed to present this award as our TCC chair. However, she happens to be out of the country. So she attempted today to send me a video. So we're going to try to let Christy do her thing. Let's see here.
Hello, Zanae Jackson. You earned this award with your entire heart and soul. You're there for everything and everybody. You make climbing understood for those of us that don't climb. You are the intermediary between all of us, and you don't understand how much what you give affects this industry. You jump in and you fix a score sheet and you run back out into the ring and you score and you judge and you do all of the things without one single complaint or an irritated sigh. At GAA, I know for a fact you went 10 hours without food, never a complaint. Your husband was sick. You weren't like you're just a giver from day one, and that needs to be rewarded. So I love you very much, and I thank you very much. From Portugal, I love you guys. I'm sorry I missed it, but oops.
So she sprung that on me today. I promised I would try. So I will pass it on to Jolette to present the award now.
Hello, I'm Jolette Craw. I am past secretary of GAA, and it brings me great pleasure to stand in Christy's spots. This is one of my faves. So Danae, this award is presented to an individual with the most impact and dedication in planning and managing the largest event of GAA. The award recipient is chosen by the chair of the event. The tree climbing competition impact award is presented to Danae Jackson. Danae fell in love with tree climbing competition in 2008 after attending the Florida TCC. She has challenged her passion for tree climbing, safety, arboriculture community into her career as an at-height business developer at Red Wing Regan Solution as a board member and a national cheerleader of GAA, and into the annual Georgia climbing competition, among others. As a volunteer, traveled to events after events across the country. She really pursues her heart and soul into the Georgia competition. And this is no lie. I love you. And I thank you for your service. And to my eye.
Thank you. This is not my thing to do. Normally, I am known as Adam's wife at most events, except for when I come to Georgia. So thank you for allowing this Florida girl to be a part of the GAA and accepting me. I always joke around that I self-identify as a Georgian. And thank you for letting me be a part of the Georgia Arborist Association. I love y'all as though I am full-blooded Georgian. And I don't know, I love y'all. I appreciate it. And I love this chapter like it is where I live full-time. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, my name is Amanda Russell. I am a delegate for the board. And I consider this a tremendous honor to be able to present this award tonight. It is the Georgia Arborist Association Arborist of the Year Award to Kay Ivanovich. And I'm very excited. Come on up, Kay. I think this is really apropos that I'm up here because she is one of the people that really helped encourage me to become a certified arborist. I was almost scared to run into her every now and then because she would ask me, Amanda, when are you sitting for the exam? And I would always go, not ready yet, not ready. But she was the one that was always wonderful about encouraging me. And I appreciate that so much, Kay. A few words about Kay. Kay is the city arborist for Decatur, Georgia, and is beginning her 4th year on the board of the GAA. And this is her 2nd year as treasurer. She has held her ISA certified arborist credential for 20 years and is track qualified. She is active on the GAA programs and finance committees and teaches for the GAA 4 times each year, sharing her knowledge and expertise with budding arborists preparing for the ISA certified arborist exam. Kay has taken numerous courses of study in environmental issues and tree forest health through the University of Georgia Center for Continuing Education and the Warnell School of Forestry beginning in 1999. As a municipal and consulting arborist, Kay has been performing tree health assessments and tree evaluations and reviewing plans and permits for the general public since 2005. Congratulations, Kay.
I'm going to be brief, but I'm honored. If those of you that know me, I was speechless when I got the email, which doesn't happen very often. So I just want to say thank you. And I enjoy every day working with the GAA and teaching folks about trees and arboriculture and what this great organization can do for us and for our trees. So thank you very much.
Dave, where'd you go?
Hey, all, how we doing? My name is Dave Long with the Georgia Forestry Commission, and I'm honored to present the Company of the Year Award This is presented to the company who has shown the best support for the GAA and all of its activities during the year. This year, we are presenting Gunnison Tree Service. Gunnison Tree is shown. Here we go. Gunnison Tree has shown support throughout the year by donating valuable service, crew and employee time, and equipment and power to GAA's programming efforts and to the annual tree climbing competition. They have served as a platinum sponsor of our annual tree climbing championship and are premier sponsor members of the GAA. We are grateful for Gunnison's contributions to the success of this organization. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dave. We'll do that.
Sorry.
Hello, everyone. Jonathan Potts again. I see so many faces in here that in some way, one way or another, the gravity of Gunnison has included them in that, and many friends and many colleagues as I consider in this industry for what we do. There is a monstrous team now at Gunnison that is always looking to improve and advance and take this industry to the next step. And there are so many people in here that are probably more experienced and better willing to accept this on behalf of Gunnison. But it is a great source of satisfaction to be here and to be supporting a great organization that is continually changing and morphing and bettering itself, whether it's legislation that is being supported through the GA or giving a platform to that, giving a platform to companies like Top Tier that virtually, I don't know, how long have you guys been in business? 5 years?
9.
9 years. So a company that's been in business for 9 years that has successfully been noted by outside industry people for safety. We can pat ourselves on the back a lot within our own industries and different things of that nature, but to be a part of getting acclamations from people that don't know anything about arboriculture is extremely impressive. And at Gunnison, things are always morphing, always changing. There are always challenges in the businesses, and I can count at least 20 people in this room that I've learned a great deal from personally, and it's a major source of pride to be a part of this. So thank you very much.
All right, I suppose that concludes our awards for the evening. Let me see what time it is. Oh my gosh, we're right on time, guys. That is amazing. We made up so much time. Thank you all so much. I hope your evening is not over. Go enjoy some drinks, make some friends, ask questions now that you know a little bit more about each other, and have fun. Thank you for everything.